Hi guys, it's Heather with Running with Scissors, and today we are painting our May 2024 Dashing Doors number 20, and it is the Birdhouse. How cute is this guy? Super cute, super easy to paint. So let's get started. All right, so for May of 2024, your Dashing Doors number 20, the Birdhouse. These are the paints that we're going to be using. Of course, always white and black. And any brand, remember, any brand, if you don't have the brands that I have or the colors, just find something similar or choose your own colors. I'm going to be using Deco Art Dark Chocolate. It's pretty empty, so I might have to switch to a burnt umber. Apple Barrel Caribbean, Apple Barrel Crisp Green, Deco Art Purple Iris, Apple Barrel Parrot Blue, Apple Barrel New Shamrock, Apple Barrel Yellow, Deco Art Primary Red, and Apple Barrel Pink Parfait. Now, I don't like this pink parfait. It's too hot pinkish for me. So I'm actually going to be mixing that with the primary red to get more of a Eros pink or a flamingo color pink. If you paint in our studio, we have a paint called Flamingo, and it's a really popular color. We all love it. So I'm going to try to achieve that flamingo color by combining those two colors together. Okay, you also have a bag of your ribbons, zip ties, a little bit of glue because you have a separate wood piece you're going to need to be gluing on. And in this particular door hanger, we included a wire hanger instead of jute. So if you have a pair of needle nose pliers, those will be handy, but if not, it will be fine. You can just twist your wire with your fingers. As always, 2 cups of water. I like to do a rinse in one and then a second or final rinse in the second cup. You're gonna need some paper towels, and you're going to want some baby wipes, of course, and a paper plate or something to mix your paint on if you use a paint palette, maybe. Okay. So let's get started. Oh, and a variety of brushes and paint markers or Posca paint pens, or you know. So I have 3 things of brushes. I always use lots of brushes, but you know, I favor my couple angle brushes that I have. But I always have lots of brushes handy because you just never know. All right. All right, so let's get started here. Now, usually we end up doing a foundation of white over the whole thing. I'm not gonna do that today because all of my colors are gonna color pretty well. So I don't feel like I need that. I am gonna start with the roof line though. So I'm gonna flip my birdhouse around, and I'm going to paint all of this white, and then I'm going to come back over the stripes with some black. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint all of this white, and then I'm going to paint my birdhouse, and then I'll come back with the black. All right, let's get going. I'm using a number 12 angle brush this morning. I'm just gonna come in along my bubbles here and just do a sweep with my angle brush. we're gonna let that dry. And while we let that dry before we put on another coat, we will need 2 coats on that. All right, we're gonna paint the birdhouse portion, and I'm going to paint that with this Apple Barrel Caribbean. Now, I'm going to do the dots on this with the same Apple Barrel Caribbean color, but I'm gonna lighten it up. And then I'm just gonna take a wide brush, like a 1-inch flat, and I'm going to fill this in. Okay, so while we wait for that to dry, we're gonna put the second coat of white on our roof line. We're gonna come back and we're going to go along the roof line one more time and then fill it in. Okay, and that's it for that. All right, while we wait for all of that to dry up there, I'm just gonna keep moving down. Next, I'm gonna paint the pedestal, and I am attempting to use a dark chocolate, but I will tell you, this is pretty empty. Let's see if I can get anything out of it. Yeah, that ain't happening. Burnt umber is going to be the one that we paint with for the demo. It is a little darker and a little more of a red tint to it than I like. So if you have a brown, I would use the brown. All right, I'm still using my number 12 angle, and I'm gonna just come in and go around these flowers, and I'll use this brush the entire time for this color. Well, this covered very, very well. I don't think it's going to need a second coat. This burnt umber is pretty dark, so we'll see how it dries up. If it needs another coat, we'll give it another coat. And if you didn't use burnt umber, you'll have to make that decision as well on whether or not it needs a second coat. Okay. Now we are going to move on. We're still waiting for our white to dry up here. We're just gonna finish letting that dry. If you need to finish that before we move on, you can go ahead and dry it with a hairdryer and move forward. I am going to paint next. I'm going to use the Parrot Blue, and I'm gonna lighten it up a little bit. These areas right here are actually sky, because what this is it's a birdhouse on a pedestal with flowers growing around it, but what you're seeing through there is sky. So I'm going to go ahead and paint that. Now, it's a little darker than I want it to be, so I'm going to put white next to it. I put way more paint than I need. That looks good to me. Remember, when you're mixing paint, use the wrong end of a paintbrush. Don't use your bristles, because it would break your bristles down a lot faster. Okay, I am going for a small angle or a flat brush here. So let's look at a number 5. You've got a lot of small spaces to get here. Turn your project whatever way you got to turn it to get it closest to you so that you can work on these small areas. Remember, you don't have to be perfect because we will be tracing over the lines with a black paint marker. And if I have to guess, I'd say that this is going to need 2 coats. Okay, that's that first coat. So we're just gonna set that aside, let that dry for now, and we're gonna come back up and we're gonna work on our birdhouse and our roof line. And I'm going to take this Caribbean blue and I'm gonna put a little bit more on my plate here. May as well put it in the same spot I had it. Now, if you have a pouncer that's the size of these circles and you would rather use a pouncer, you can do that. But I decided that we were gonna hand paint these. Now, I don't want the variance in color to be drastic. So you can see I just put a little bit of white in there. I just want to lighten the color a little bit. Okay, now you're gonna want a smaller angle. I'm gonna go ahead and use my number 5. And then I'm just going to paint these circles in. I'm only going to do 1 coat on these, so I won't torture you with 2. And we will go around these. Well, we will not, let me correct that. We will not go around these with a black marker. So try to stay in the circle on these. Remember to turn your project towards you or closest to you, whatever you have to do to make it easiest for you to paint. Go ahead and turn it. Okay, and that's it for those circles, the dots, and I'm not gonna put a second coat on it. One's enough. You decide what works best for you. And now we're gonna move on to the black stripes on the roof, and then the center hole to the birdhouse is going to be black as well. I'm using my number 12 angle. roof line. Black, white. Okay, I'm gonna start on the outside edges. That's it for the black there. Now that might need 2 coats. We'll see how it goes. We're just gonna let that dry. We're gonna move back down to our pedestal there. It looks like my sky color covered just fine. I won't need a second coat on that, I don't think. But I do see some parts of my black that needs another coat. So I'm going, or I'm sorry, not black, my brown. So I'm going to just come into those areas that I can see and give them another coat. All right, that's it for that. Now I am going to paint the center of my flowers yellow, and we all know that the yellow covers pretty hard, so I'm gonna do the centers of my flowers with a little bit of a white foundation real quick here. That way when it comes time to paint them yellow, I'm not worried about the coverage that I get. Okay, so now we're gonna look at painting the flowers, and I am going to paint one of them that pink color that I talked about at the beginning of the video. Now, I, once again, do not like this pink parfait. It's too bright. It's like, I don't know, it's like a hot pink. So I'm gonna take that pink parfait, and I'm gonna take some primary red, and I'm also going to put out my purple right now, which is way darker than I want it to be. So if you have a lighter purple, then you could go ahead and use that. And I'm gonna put some white because I'm gonna make the purple that I want. So let's see how we can get this pink color that I want. I'm just gonna start by blending these two in the middle and see where we get. Okay, I'm good with that. All right, now let's do our purple while we're at it. It shouldn't take much purple. Maybe it will. I don't want like a lavender or a pale purple. I just didn't want that really dark purple. It's a little lighter. That's a little lighter than I wanted, so let's put some base back in there. Yep, that's a purple I think I can work with. Okay. So those are the two colors of our flowers that we're gonna use. And I still have my number 5 angle out, but I'll probably switch that over because those flowers actually have quite a bit of space to cover, and a number 5 is a pretty small brush. But before we do the flower colors themselves, let's just go ahead and do the centers. And I'm going to use just a yellow. This is pure yellow or plain yellow, but you can use any color yellow. I need to refill some of my paints, clearly. Way more than we needed. If you're wondering, yes, I have my coffee. I always have my coffee when I paint. Okay, let's go ahead and just now you should only need 1 coat on these flower centers, especially because you put that foundation of white on there. If you didn't do a white foundation, you'll probably need 2 or 3 coats. But 1 coat should do it for us. To this one. All right, it might need a second coat. We'll see. We'll let that dry, and then we'll see. Let's dry it real quick. I think it does need another coat. So let's put another coat of yellow on just real quick while we got the paint out and the brush out and everything else. All right, there we go. Okay. Let's move on to the flowers. I'm using a number 10 angle. Looks like that pink might end up needing another coat, but we're going to move over to our purple flower and we'll come back to the pink. definitely gonna need a second coat. We'll worry about that in just a little bit here. Before we move on to our grass though, I'm gonna come back and give my black a touch up. I noticed as it dried, some spots needed a second coat. So we're just gonna come in here. All right, that's good for that. We'll see how our flowers are drying here and see if we do the second coat on those before we move on to the grass. We'll give those just a second though. As I was painting, I thought that originally I was gonna do the bird in a shade of blue. But then I thought he'd be really cute in a pale yellow. So I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna mix up a pale yellow real quick. And I'm not gonna do a foundation coat on him. We'll just see what happens here. I only want a drop of this yellow. Yeah, it's way more than I wanted. I want a pale yellow bird. Oh, that's not too bad. That's actually pretty good. Okay. So I'm gonna paint my bird yellow while we wait for the flowers to dry so I can give them their second coats. I'm just gonna paint this whole thing. And because I didn't put a foundation of white on, he is going to need a couple of coats. I know that ahead of time. I'm gonna put a little bit more yellow on my plate that's not changed into a lighter color. Just a drop. That's all you're gonna need. And I'm gonna pick it up with the same brush here, and I'm going to sweep it into the tail feathers. Just that little bit darker of a yellow. I don't want to leave bumper lines of paint or anything like that. I just want to sweep in that darker color. Okay. And then the same thing with around the wing. I'm just going to come in and follow the wing. And I'm not going to blend out those deeper lines of yellow. I'm just going to leave them just like that so they're more pronounced. Okay. And so then I still got that yellow on my plate, and I still got a little bit of red on my plate. So I'm actually just going to grab a small detail brush here, and I'm going to grab a tiny little speck of that red and mix it in with whatever yellow I have here. It's just a tiny little bit left. And I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna paint his beak. All right, so then we got his beak painted orange. And then his eye, we will just use a black paint marker at the end. So there's our little bird done, and we'll set him to the side. And then we can come back to our flowers and put a second coat on our flowers. that guy. All right, so now we're not done with our flowers yet. I'm going to take, I want a smaller brush and a rounded brush or a liner brush. You could even use a narrow flat brush, a small flat if you wanted. Let me find what I want to use. I'm going to use this one. This brush is still new, so it's glued bristles yet together. If you get brushes where the bristles are glued together, don't force them apart. Just dip them in your water for like 2 seconds and the glue will dissolve and loosen your brush bristles up. Okay, so I'm going to take this pink and red that we have, and I'm going to grab a little bit of white, and I'm going to try and make a light color. Has to be lighter than the pink that I used on the flower. And then I'm just going to grab some of that in my brush. I'm gonna go around the outside edges of my flower like that. Not putting a lot of thought into it. Don't want to overthink everything, because then you won't like it or you'll be upset. So that's what we're doing. Oh, that's cute. Huh, I really like that, guys. All right, let me do this one up top here just a little bit more. Yep, these are cute. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same thing with the purple, except the purple, I'm gonna go dark. So I'm really just bringing back the original purple color. Just a little spot of that, you don't need much. Okay, I actually just lightened it a teeny tiny bit with the tip of my brush. I know I tell you not to do that. Okay, those are cute. All right. We are moving on to our grass. And I'm gonna get a clean plate. Now I've got that apple barrel crisp green and the apple barrel shamrock. And I'm also going to put my crisp green is kind of chunky. And I'm also going to put another spot of yellow here on my plate and a spot of white. Okay, and let's see. We are going to use, we're gonna use an angle brush, but we're gonna start with a number 8. And I can tell you right now, the way that this looks in my head is chaotic, and that's probably exactly how it's going to come out on these flowers, or on this grass here. So on this wood painting. Of course, I want to get up close to the other colors to fill that in first, right? And I'm just grabbing some green. It's mixed in a little bit to the two green colors. That's not how it's going to end anyway, so I'm not really concerned about that. First, I just want to get this covered so so there's no bare wood showing. And then after I get it covered is when I'm going to bring in the variations of color. So just get your green covered. It doesn't even matter what color you get down there, just so it's green. Okay, there's our grass all covered. Okay, now is where we're gonna start pulling some different colors in. I want to make sure that we can distinguish between the leaves and the grass, right? So we've got the leaves of the flower and the stem of the flower, and then we've got the grass that's up around it. So I'm gonna take I'm just gonna take and start mixing some colors in here to get some different shades of green. I'm probably not gonna ever change brushes. I'm just gonna use the same brush. So the leaves, let's come over here and just give this color. And then let's dip our brush into the dark, and we're gonna give it some veins. And then let's grab that greenish, yellowish color again. And we're going to paint in the stem. Okay. Yep, I got it in the grass. I don't care about that. Let's come back and do this side, this other one. And we're gonna grab that dark green again and give it some veins in the leaf. Okay. And then we're just gonna fill that stem back in. Okay. All right, now let's look at the grass. Now the grass, this is where we're gonna put grab our white, I think. We're probably gonna use all these colors, but let's see here. I just want to sweep in, follow the, like, let's just call this a blade, okay? Follow that blade of grass in the direction that it goes with a variation of your greens in your, you know, you can even add the white in there to make some lighter blades of grass. Let's see. That's adding just a tiny bit of white. And as long as your paint's wet and you're continuing to swipe it, you're going to be able to blend in those colors and make it look a little like more natural, as far as it's gonna look on this anyway. I don't want it to appear yellow, so we are going to sweep that back out. But the different shades of green is just fine. We're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna keep doing that. All right, I like it. I'm not gonna keep messing with it because you keep messing with it and then it turns into something you don't like. But I am gonna do one thing on the stems of the flowers. I'm gonna come in with, I'm probably at this point it's gonna be a darker, or I mean a lighter green. So I'm just gonna take a rounded or a pointy brush, and I'm gonna grab a little bit of green and a little bit of white and get that a light shade here. And then I'm gonna just sweep like this across my stems of my flowers. Just like that. And you know what? I might do a little bit of this on the leaves too. That would probably look good. Cute. I'll do the same thing on the other one over here. Doesn't have to be perfect, guys, remember. All right, cute, cute. I think that's it. I think that's it. I think we're on to finishing touches now. Yep, let's get this dry, and then we're on to just like the paint markers and stuff. So get it dry and come on back. So I decided as I was letting my painting dry that it needed one more thing. And it needs some texture through the post. So this brown here. So I still got that burnt umber on my plate, and I'm gonna grab a little bit of white. And I'm just gonna dull that color down a little bit. Yes, I'm mixing with my paintbrush. I'm just mixing with the tip of the bristle though. Still don't do it. You shouldn't do it. Okay. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it just some lines through here. Real thin. And then I'm gonna do like maybe try and make it look like wood grain, like that. And this, on this one, I'm going to run it the opposite way. You see, it was just a little tiny addition there. Took like 2 minutes to do, and I think it made a big difference. Okay, so now we're moving on to the outlining and all the detail-y stuff. So let's get our Posca pens ready. The first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and trace the score marks with a number 5 black, and I am not going to trace the outsides of the dots though. I will trace the outside of the bird hole. just to clean up any not smooth paint edge there. And we'll come across the bottom here. And then I'll hit all of the scallops. And then I'll do the stripes where that black and that white combine, or I should say where they meet. I'll smooth those out. Then we're gonna flip around and we're gonna do at the bottom. And then each of our flowers. Go ahead and do the center before we finish the petals. And then we'll use the jumbo to go around the outside edges. Let's draw in our stems. And then our blades of grass. Oh, one spot up here. All right, so now let's take our jumbo marker and go around the outside. Well, actually, let's do our bird. So our bird, we're going to outline the wing. We're gonna fill in the eye. And come across the beak. And then we're gonna go ahead and we'll outline him with the jumbo marker as well. All right, So I'm grabbing my black jumbo. It's a number 7. Your jumbos are a number 7. Higher the number, the bigger the tip. So just outline your bird. And when I do the outlines, I do half of the marker on the wood and half off. It gets a little dicey in the grooves. You might have to take a narrower marker for those areas. Like where the tail feathers come in, so just like that. Okay, so there's our bird. Now let's just finish our drawing here, our project here. We're just gonna come around the outsides, half on, half off. Now same as with the bird here, where the flowers petals meet and come together, it might be a little more difficult with this big marker. So you might have to take a smaller one in there. We'll do that when we're all done. Swipe here, and then we're gonna grab that number 5 again, and we're gonna hit these areas that we couldn't get, and it's mostly where these indents are, the close cuts. That's it. Oh, I missed this guy. Let's get this guy. Huh. Didn't realize that. Okay, now we're going to take our white number 5, and remember, white is sometimes, most of the time, needs to be shook pretty well. And in the purple flower, I'm going to do some curlicues, like that. And in the pink flower, I'm just going to, I'm just gonna trace these. Just like that. In the grass, I'm gonna follow the blade lines. Pretty simple. I'm not connecting anything, not thinking it over too much. I'm just doing it. And then up, let's see, let's grab our bird. And our bird, I'm gonna do a sweep here, and I'm gonna do a sweep in each of the wings. Okay. And then let's put a little highlight there. And then let's trace the roof line as well. That's here, we may as well get this guy here. All right, and then let's do, I'm not gonna do anything more with the circles. I was thinking I was gonna put a little highlight in each of the circle, but I kind of want those to say nondescript. So let's just come up to the roof line and we're gonna trace the roof line. All the way around. All right. I think that's it. All right. So now we are going to take our bird. Let's get our bag of goodies. And you got your glue. Use your glue for your bird here. Put a little bit of glue on the back of your bird. And let's see. And then you're gonna stick your bird to your birdhouse right there. All right, now you need your ribbons. And you want all your ribbons. You got 3 ribbons. Just fold them together like they probably came in half like that. And then fold them up like a taco. And then at the end, you're gonna cut from the folded edge up and out to the corner. If you have not great scissors, you might have to separate your ribbons. My scissors are not fantastic, but I made it through. And then do the same thing on the other side. Fold it up and cut from the folded edge up and out to the center, or to the corner. All right, and then you should have 6 pieces of ribbons. Then you're going to lay them out in an X kind of fashion. I don't want that one on top. All right. Change this one around, and there we go. All right, and you're gonna take your long zip, pick your ribbon set up and put your zip underneath it. And then just start your cinch on your zip and move the clasp to the back. And then cinch it down. Before you get it cinched all the way down, slide the other small zip into the back of that larger zip. Tighten it the rest of the way. And then trim off the tail on that large zip. And then we're gonna set that aside for a second while we do the wire. I'm gonna turn our birdhouse around to us. Okay. If you have some needle nose pliers like this, that will be good. If not, you'll just have to twist it up. All right, so I'm gonna take my wire and I'm just gonna make a U out of it. And I'm going to put one end of the wire through each of the holes from the back coming forward. And then I'm going to take and bend that wire flat up like that so it is laying flush on the table, and then the 2 ends are sticking straight up to the sky. And then I'm going to push them down, the 2 ends down, so that they are level or horizontal to the table. And then I'm going to take my needle nose plier and I'm going to twist each end in a spiral towards the door hanger. And then as I get over top of it, I'm just going to push it flat down with my finger. Now, if you don't have a wire or needle nose plier, just take that wire and wrap it, twist it and wrap it around this wire here a couple of times. Okay. And then we're gonna take our ribbon and we're gonna take that zip tie and we're gonna tie it around the edge of the wire, or around the edge, around the wire. Zip it down and then trim off the excess. And there you have your finished May door hanger number 20. All right, I hope you guys had fun with this. This was a cute one. Really cute, really easy to paint. We will see you in June.